All right, cool. We are live once again with the Dudsnbuds Podcast, number 5. And yes, it is number 5. We got some fun topics to talk about tonight. Actually, I don't know if I would call them fun. I would call them topical. Ha ha ha.
I mean, what is fun?
I don't know. Sometimes culture stuff can be fun. If, talking about sci-fi is fun.
Dude, most just
I was
talking
gonna
is
say,
fun, man.
yeah, most of the stuff's pretty.
The world's always gonna be messed up no matter what, but talking about it's fun.
Talking about it
That's
is
why we're
fun.
here.
I think I can get down with that. We're gonna talk about prices going up, a little bit of inflation. I want to see if things in your area have gone up, Danny.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That's not fun.
not
Is
fun.
Jorden Peterson always right? And is he? He's not always right. I don't remember what I put down. Something of that nature.
That'll be exciting. Been listening to him a lot.
Yeah, I just
Now that he's back, it's nice to see him back, and I've seen him laugh a little bit, which is good, like really laugh. So that's if anybody knows his situation, it's nice to see that.
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely tell that he's not fully back, but I think that he is attempting to be back, and he's starting to push back against crazy things.
Oh, he's doing a lot. Like he's doing every couple of days. He's doing a podcast, so that's cool.
Crypto? Yeah, which is a lot better than it was. Yeah, we have the crypto correction we want to talk about. Talk about some
I don't know
other.
if it's a correction. We've seen this.
Dude, I mean, a correction would be something, what, $10,000? Yeah, that fluctuation.
Well, depends on the baseline of the correction. If you want to talk about correction, then we're talking about pre-2001.
I mean, yeah.
Then
But,
all right, you're talking about 10,000.
This is definitely
altogether.
the most current.
Yeah, it was a FUD. It was like one of the first FUDs in a while.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk manipulated the market.
He
Pretty
did,
pretty good.
That's what the FUD is. It's
what he does.
It's the uncertainty of, are you going to be able to use your fancy space money to buy fancy space trucks? Yeah,
that's a good point. Worked really well. That's what he got sued by the SEC for, and he just tried again so he can't get sued. Cool. Maybe we'll get someone in here watching this. Let's see. And as far as art and entertainment,
talk about this show that messed me up all day because it was so
dude
up at the end there.
Yeah, bro.
I was thinking about it all day. I was like, oh god.
Why did that happen? The show is so nice. No, that's why I wanted to talk about it specifically, because I thought that it was a good change of pace to a lot of the mundane things that I've seen lately. I want to talk about that movie you sent me. Was it Green? What was it called?
The Green Knight.
The Green Knight. I want to talk about that a little bit. That looked cool.
Dude,
Something that
I actually don't know much about that. But
so I'm saying we should pull it up.
We might just watch the trailer. That'd be cool. Trailer's like 2.5 minutes or something.
Yeah,
it's apparently all I know about it is it's a King Arthur kind of side story. So
nice. That's even better, because if it's something that's, I was wondering.
Yeah, I think the king in that is Arthur. I don't know for a fact. I just saw kind of in the comments that it's King Arthur-esque.
Arthur-esque typing.
I think it's actually in like the King Arthur books.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm totally going on a limb there, but all I know is that it looks interesting, and like we haven't seen a high fantasy
that stood out that much for
theaters. It's coming to theaters, which is nice. It's not just a Netflix show. There's been a lot of high fantasy doing that stuff, but this one just looks legit. So yeah.
And then what was the last thing I had on there?
Let me see. I'll pull up the IMDb.
Oh yeah, no, that was the Starship landing. I want to talk about that a little bit because I think it has large implications. I know it was last week that happened, but I think again, Elon Musk is in the forefront of a couple different things, not only space technology but also market manipulation. But Starship re-landing giant spaceships that can take large amounts of people and payloads up and down within space is a huge step.
That's a pretty big deal, yeah.
I want to talk about some of those greater implications, maybe a little bit of space economics. And
it's one of many big deals he's done.
I want to talk about the Iron Dome a little bit too, because I don't know. I don't remember if I've seen anything like it so far. I know that it's been in existence for a while, but having it be openly in operation, I think, is interesting.
I don't know much about it, but I did see the videos, and it's pretty insane.
And it doesn't need to be just about the Iron Dome, but just maybe defense systems and like where we could be heading with that type of technology. I think would be interesting to touch on too.
sure.
All right. Let me see. Oh, I didn't change the secondary screen, did I? I did not. All right.
Cool.
I'm gonna fix this right quick. Danny Cam. And all right, Danny, I got your face back in the screen. Why don't you tell me about any price fluctuations that you've seen in the past couple of weeks or anything, if at all?
I mean, the obvious one that hits us all, if you're a person who travels around your city, is gas. And obviously, because of what happened to the pipeline on the East Coast, there been some serious people doing dumb stuff and reactionary overbuying and reactionary buying. And so, but even before all that happened, gas was going up. You could just tell. It was like in the Obama days, it was like getting real close to $4 or something like that. It was like terrifying. It's like, okay, is it just going to keep going up and up and up and up? And this is like 2013 and 14 and 15. It's just started creeping up and up and up. And then Trump gets into office and all of a sudden it goes down for some reason. I mean, I can't even tell you the economics behind it. I'm sure it has something to do with not necessarily relying so much on foreign oil or whatever kind of, things are put into place politically. But that's one thing. That's just kind of based off of what I see. But even at the grocery store, man, me and Sarah, basically, we'll get a lot of the same groceries and the bills always right around, we'll get, 2 weeks worth of groceries, bills right around $180. I've been spending like $250.
So you have seen a pretty good one then, huh?
Oh yeah. And I mean, we get a lot of produce, and it's crazy how much produce has gone up. And I can't give you a graph, and I can't give you the statistics, and I can't tell you exactly what is going on, but I can tell you it's pretty obvious, and there's a pretty obvious reason. And I don't think the same thing would have happened if we had someone else in office, honestly.
Well, I do have some statistics pulled up. The document I sent you in Drive, I linked to this AP article from yesterday about rising commodity costs hit Americans at home and on the road. On road? The title's misspelled? What the hell? It says Americans at home and on road. Okay. Would it be on the road? Whatever. It sounds weird.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
What's the source?
AP News.
Okay, Associated Press. Sure. Yeah, give me the lowdown.
Let's see. Rising prices for a variety of commodities are contributing to jump in prices at the consumer level, with Americans paying more for meat, gasoline, items they keep in their homes, and even the homes themselves. The government said Wednesday that consumer pricing surged at 0.8% in April from March, while the year-over-year rise is the fastest since 2008. So they didn't give you that statistic, but it says it is the biggest rise.
Guess what happened in 2008? Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about.
Many factors are playing into the price hikes as the economy strengthens. Demand for products is outpacing manufacturers' ability to produce enough supply of the raw materials. Many manufacturers are still understaffed as unemployment lags the broader economic recovery. Companies are also paying more for shipping as fuel costs rise, and ports experience long days because of congestion.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty obvious. People are getting paid to sit at home. So going to work and getting paid less than what you're getting paid to sit at home seems like a pretty sweet deal.
I feel like we
lazy people
had maybe had said that if you give people more than what they make weekly, that they're probably not going to want to go work. I think someone said that before. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it sort of depends on the job. I mean, it's things like fast food. I mean, it's just the short and long of it is fast food. You're never going to be getting rich and getting a living wage off of fast food. Generally, it's a means to an end kind of job. So if you have this, income of money that is a means to an end, you're going to use it as long as you can. I can't necessarily blame people for that. I mean, I don't think I personally would do that, but I mean, in a large scale between, however many people it takes to kind of gum up the works of the economy, it seems to be happening right now. I don't know how long term it's going to be, but if you think about it, why would you go out in the fields and pick stuff and tend to the chickens and things like that? The kind of really kind of hard work. You're going to make just as much sitting at home. So what you're seeing is prices go up because then you can't get the chicken to the market. You can't get people to stock the chicken on the shelves of the market. And if you want all those things to happen, you got to pay people more than what they're getting paid by the government right now. So.
I just think people don't really understand how business works. I mean, it's hard.
I mean, the way I just explained it may be completely off. I may not understand how.
Business works. I think you explained it appropriately.
I've never been in, moving of produce, logistics.
Yeah. Well, again,
I'm assuming this is people's mentality because if it is true that people are getting paid, 600 plus 300 or whatever it is. If they're getting paid, let's say they're getting paid $16 an hour for the government to do nothing. Of course, they're not going to go do those hardworking jobs for $15 an hour or however much they're making, 12. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no incentive to be able to do that. And just speaking of what you were just saying, the higher price is a result of a number of factors, including skyrocketing costs of feed for farm animals, whose diets consist of largely of corn and soybeans. The price of corn is up 57% in 2021 and has more than doubled.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
In the price, while soybean prices are up more than 25%. Although it can do it gradual, eventually those higher costs get passed down to the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is Biden's policies or not that's doing it, but the timing
I don't necessarily
is
think that it's
such
just
that
his policies, but
well, it could be. I mean, I don't know. The thing is we are getting into a point where we need to start thinking about getting back to normal, and we're going to see a lot of different changes happen in our economy, and we're going to see where the buck stops. Whether what we went through and the decisions that were made were good, or if they were dumb as hell. And I'm going to guess they were dumb as hell because usually stuff the government does is dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Whether that was Biden or Trump, it could have been the exact same thing. I don't know.
It was both. I think you could say it was both because the stimulus.
I mean, Trump spent money like crazy too. It wasn't like he had all completely conservative policies.
The stimulus started with him, and they allowed the Democrats to keep it going and printing money, and inflation is, ripe on our heels. Before Trump got knocked out, he was screaming at the rafters $2,000. He wanted to give $2,000 to everybody, and that was after he had already given a big stimulus. So it's not like economically Trump would necessarily be doing any better than Biden would. It's just I don't think Biden even knows what planet he's living on. In this specific aspect, for sure, I think that this would have kind of been a toss-up between with COVID and some other policies that were happening. I don't know. Maybe he would have opened up sooner and a little bit more, but I don't know how much it would have been. Much more it would have been different.
Well, my problem is I don't know how nefarious this whole thing is. Maybe it's super nefarious, and the government just wants people to rely on them all the time, and they want that to be what changed after the pandemic. And if that's the case, then this is real dangerous territory. I don't know if that is the case, and I guess we'll see maybe by the end of the year.
Maybe.
But if it is that, then we have problems. If it isn't that, and it's just we're trying to do our best here, then it'll self-correct itself. But I mean, I don't know. People love getting that free money, and if the Democrats can say, "Oh, we'll just always give you free money, just vote for us," maybe that would be nefarious to me, at least, if that's really what's happening. But you never know. Republicans really probably do the same kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who knows? Politicians are always going to be slimy.
Honestly, I'm more at the understanding that both of them are awful at this point, and our government is against us.
Yeah.
And
politicians are slimy people. They suck most of the time. Like it's definitely the rule at this point that never trust a politician. I don't care
the politicians,
if they have an R or they have a D. It doesn't matter to me.
Between politicians, the courts, and the police, it's really hard to have much confidence in any sort of accountability, at least.
And the reason is because we have a gigantic country that is very spread out. And so it's like a really crazy
If only we had.
It is a crazy system that doesn't always work.
If only we had some system that was, let the smaller regions, make rules for themselves, and then we're able to enforce them better for themselves, or something like that.
Yeah, like federalism. That'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I would take that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. Thank God we live in America.
America.
So Tennessee's been getting a bunch of shout outs lately as, hot spots to go. So
yeah, I want to. That'd be a sweet place to end up, man.
Yeah, I do. Denver.
Cool. I've always loved traveling to Tennessee.
Denver's definitely not bad. It's just kind of. I don't even want to say it's definitely shitty, but it's not like. I feel like it could be much worse. Crime's getting worse. Downtown is nasty now, though. I've watched downtown go into a nice, pretty, like downtown area into something that's like, not a very fun place to go. I'm talking.
Is it because of what? Crime?
Homelessness, crime, people not going out anymore, so there's not any busyness or travel, so there's no incentive to make it clean and make it nice. The shanty towns, I used to walk down 16th Street, which is like our mall downtown, like our outside mall downtown. 5 or 6, people along the street, pretty normal. Now there's like 15 to 30 people along the whole 8 to 9 blocks, and it's like
it only get worse too because it'll kind of snowball. Hey,
it has been.
Be glad you're not in San Francisco. That was the worst experience of my life. I went to San Francisco when I was like 18. God, it was terrifying. Just a bunch of scary people.
I almost said, when was that? That was what, almost 15 years ago, Deanie? Yes.
Sure. Yeah, something like that.
Because you're what, 34?
Not a good time at all.
So
yeah, who knows? We'll see if maybe things will get cleaned up after COVID. Yeah, I tend to think not, but
I tend to think not either.
Time will tell. Now we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Sure we don't. We don't have to wear
masks.
CDC
says today.
Someone told me. Well, someone said that you don't have to, and someone's giving me permission if I happen to have a certain medical thing or whatever. I don't know, it's just so weird. I always go back to the easiest way that I think that I have a little bit of an issue with is that at working in management, working in security, ADA is a serious thing, and you can't ask somebody what are your health conditions, and what do you have sick for. Like, can't even ask somebody what service does your dog do. Like, I need to know what illness you have. You can't do that. You can get sued for that. So I don't know how people think that there's going to be any type of enforcement of, let me see your vaccine, bracelet or card. Or,
I don't know if there will. I don't think there will. I don't think there will. I think it's going to be like a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. Here's the perception problem I'm seeing, and I guess we could put this in the culture category. Maybe we should have added it. I think what's going to happen is we're going to start seeing in a couple weeks here, people who are wearing masks, people are going to immediately wonder, why isn't that person vaccinated?
Dude, it's already happening.
It's like completely contrary to what we've been doing for the last 6 months. It's like, wear a mask all the time. And it's like, well, if I wear this mask because I'm actually doing what I feel is appropriate and good because I may be carrying this virus. Now, if I do it, if I don't have the vaccine, I'm going to get ostracized from whatever area I'm in because people are going to think that person's so irresponsible now. They have this mask on because they could just take it off because this CDC organization told me what I need to do with my life. That's my problem.
Thing. Yeah, that's what I think
the
is
CDC.
Just so
it's like, okay, so today we're okay if you were vaccinated. What about the last couple months when people were vaccinated?
Yeah,
why couldn't they take their masks off then? Nothing has changed other than well, we feel like this now. It's like, okay, did the science change? Did your perspective on the science change? It's like, no. There's a couple things at play here. One, not enough people were getting vaccinated that they wanted to see, so they needed to up it. So now they're going to give people incentives. Now, if you get it, of course, you can just take the mask off and go back to normal.
Well, no,
why wasn't that the original message?
No,
why wasn't that the original message?
It's even worse than that, though, because it wasn't that they're incentivizing you to be able to take the mask off. That's the incentive. No, they're legitimately incentivizing you with gift cards and French fries and burgers and lottery tickets.
That stuff I don't care about. They can incentivize people that way.
I mean, no, it's just as weird though. Like
it is what it's, and that's not the government. That's like areas.
No, it is the government, because when you have, what is it, Bill de Blasio, who's the New York governor or whatever, being like,
it's not the federal government doing that. It's certain areas, and
it's the apparatus of a government that is.
Look, I don't have a problem with incentivizing people to do a thing. I have a problem with I have a problem with a consistent message. They never had a consistent message. Now, all of the sudden, literally today, it's like the same people who have been telling you still need to wear, like literally Monday, they were saying kids need to wear a mask, whether they're vaccinated or not, when they're at summer camp in 90-degree weather outside.
That's what they were yelling about.
This same organization that told us that 1 week ago is now like, oh, never mind. You just need to get the vaccine. You'll be fine. Completely go back to normal. Yeah, you must get the vaccine. And then Biden goes up there and says, here's the rule. Get the vaccine or wear the mask.
Well, the other thing that's going to end up happening is people are going to end up having resentment towards people who are not vaccinated. And I've already seen it, because
that's already happening.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's already, dude, it's bad, because people are people that I know are like, oh, if you don't get the vaccine, they're the ones that are then spreading it, and why don't they just go get the vaccine?
You're automatically a Nazi or a white supremacist.
It's not even, or you're just a disease spreader at the very least, man. And it's like, oh, well, you're a disease spreader. Why, here, put this mask on, because you need to make sure you don't spread anything.
Here's the thing. This is going to last for a couple months, then people are going to forget and not give a shit.
It's going to last about 5 weeks, and then June's going to hit, and it's going to be party city, and everything's going to explode, anymore, dude.
So I don't care. There's honestly not even any reason for me to get upset about it.
I don't know if I'm upset
because
about it.
Because people are not going to give a good goddamn in 5 months. They're just not going to even remember. No one's going to care if you're wearing a mask. No one's going to be wearing masks. And there won't be enough of this virus around, because it'll be like the flu at that point.
Yeah,
it'll be so small, and your chances of dying from it will be so minute. It already has been minute.
The
for
chance
a really
of
long
catching
time.
it will actually be very minute, because the amount of spread will be down.
Yeah, and because there will be so many people vaccinated.
The science did change, and there are enough vaccinations that less people are getting it because of the vaccinations.
And there's a lot of vaccine out there. People just need to, when enough people get it, we'll be fine. And so, in 5 months, it's not even going to be a thing anymore. It's going to be a thing we remember, not a thing among us. And so we'll just have to see,
except for inflation,
how people respond. But in the interim, you're going to have all these uppity people who feel like they're so, self-righteous because they did their duty. They did their civil duty by getting this thing, and that's fine. Whatever. They can feel that way. Just it pisses me off when it's like, I'm going to completely, I'm looking from the outside. I'm going to completely look at this person as almost evil because they've decided to do this, because they could be the one who, gets my grandmother sick or something like that.
Well, I've heard weird stories of people running across stores to yell at people who aren't wearing masks in places where you don't need to wear masks anymore. It's like, mind your own business. People
virtue signaling, being self-righteous, wanting to be important, and they're pathetic. And you know what? Whatever. Mind your own business. Like that. That is
leave me alone. Like
that is the new golden rule for me. Let me do me, you do you. I won't get in your face. You don't get in mine.
It's just that much easier.
And it's like, I wear a mask in places, and I wear it because everyone expects it. That's just what happened. That's just, you go along to get along sometimes, and that's just the way it's going to be. So I don't know. Yeah. That's there's culture for you. We'll see what it's like.
Yeah, honestly, I think that'll be an ongoing topic.
Next time we're on a podcast, we could literally be like, it could be a 180.
In Florida too. No, we're going to be in Florida, so we're going to experience something that is different.
Yeah, we'll see Florida. There won't be a good God mask in the entire thing.
Sweet freedom.
Not a
Florida
single mask.
manatee freedom.
In Florida, it's good. COVID. The opposite would happen. The opposite
everywhere.
When you go to Florida, if you wear a mask, I bet people will look at you like you're freaking nuts, or like you're the problem,
or not, or maybe they're like, yeah, it's your choice. If you want to wear a mask, go ahead. I'm not going to, because I don't have to. Welcome to goddamn America.
I don't know, dude. It depends. It depends on how, because
I think there's a bunch of
there's a bunch of lefties who look down on people in certain areas, and then there's a bunch of righties who look down on people in certain areas for different things, where it's just like, leave everyone alone, let them do their own thing. When it comes to a pandemic, though, everything gets thrown up in the air. Everybody gets scared. Everybody chooses sides, it becomes political, and that's the scary part of all of it. So I don't know.
Yep.
We'll see where it goes. It could be completely different in a month.
All right, let's move over to the next one. We got a little bit of Jorden Peterson. Did you finish his newest book?
No, I think I'm on I think about 3/4 of the way through it. So I haven't quite finished it, but I've been listening to it in spurts, generally like an hour long.
That's kind of how I did it too. I did this book a little bit more broken up than I had the other JP books. My favorite chapter is the 11th chapter. I think it's the one that stood out the most to me so far. He focuses in on how the story is the thing, I think is the name of that chapter, at least. And I think about that all the time. We all frame ourselves as heroes of our own story. Therefore, we live within stories. Our lives are how we perceive them. And there are these, I think he said, archetypal characters that we interact with, whether it's the mother, the father, the evil brother, the self, the, wife. Like, there are these characters that you can drill out and in your own life, in your own story. And I think that resonates a lot because I think about things in stories. I think of myself in a story, and I thought that was one of the, not few people, but one of the more reasonable people to explain it that way with a little bit of knowledge and, I don't know, forethought into it. I don't know. What do you think? What have you learned from that book so far?
Well, I've learned a lot. Like, anytime I listen to him, the book is just him. He's actually very good at going off the cuff and putting all his thoughts into a cohesive message.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say about that before. What was that?
Whether he's on a podcast or whether he's speaking himself or whether he's talking about his writing or he's talking about someone else's writing, he's very good at that. So I don't have anything specific from the book. I won't talk about that till I've finished reading it, but I've been watching a lot of him lately, and I've been trying to figure out just what is it about him that speaks to not just me, but just kind of where I'm at, in life, and that's not even me just as a male. A lot of people say, oh, his audience is just, 30 something white males. And it's like,
just not true.
They are, a big part of who he speaks to. But that's not necessarily a consequence of his message. It just happens to be that he got a lot of his message out on YouTube, and a lot of, 30-something-year-old males watch YouTube. And so a lot of people, latched onto that or shared it that way or whatever. And so that is one of the big reasons that so many people of that age group and just that demographic are the ones who listen to him.
I think the thing that stands out to me about Jorden Peterson, because I recently rewatched the whole GQ interview that he has, and he gets a little heated in that, and I think that was one of the things that I liked about him. Not the heated part, but he wasn't afraid to be honest, and he's brutally honest.
Well, I mean, that's one of his tenets.
Obviously, that's what I'm saying. That's why, though, and he focuses on that.
He never doesn't play games. That's one of the things I like about him.
He's always trying to again speak as much truth as he can, and that was something I say to you all the time: is that people don't want truth.
No, people don't. Well, they don't want truth. They don't want to speak truth. They're always afraid of truth. They want their own perception to be immortalized in what they do, and so people can see them. Makes people feel good. Here's the thing. So you asked me my favorite thing about the book. I'll just tell you my favorite thing about his message in general, and it's that when he speaks, whether it be on a podcast, whether it be in his writing, he speaks to you in the second person. It's like he says things like, the famous one I always quote to you, clean up your damn room. And it's like, he's talking to you. He's not talking, if a person wants to do this, they would clean their room before they do this thing. No, he's like, look, man, you got to do this thing. And if you do this thing, you yourself are going to see this change. And the reason that you're going to see it is because you've done this. I'm generalizing, obviously.
Yeah, no, but to speak on that
it's
same thing.
speaking in the second person. It's not. He doesn't talk about. He doesn't talk in the first person. He doesn't talk in the third person. So it's not preachy because he's not talking to a mass. Even in his lectures, he does this. Even though he is talking to a large group of people, he talks directly to every individual because he just has this way about him of how he speaks. And another thing about him is he always thinks before he speaks. He always really analyzes what he's going to say. And therefore, he never gets caught in his own lies, or he never gets caught accidentally saying something he shouldn't, because he's very thoughtful in his speech. And that's one of the other things that he says. And it's like, that's one of the ways I think he relays his information so well.
One of the other things I really liked about the book, this second one, I feel like he takes a more clinical approach to a lot of his interactions. Like you're saying, he speaks to you as he is your clinician, and he's speaking to someone like a patient. Not that we are all his patients or anything, but like that's the type of connectivity that he has with you when you're reading his book. So he's speaking to you and he's giving you advice that now he was able to generalize in a large sense that is able to connect to a lot of people, But again, the speaking the truth, I think, is another one of the biggest things, because one of the things that I think made me draw to him the most was he would pause when people are talking to him to like think about things and be like, and like take his time to think about things. And I think that's something you don't see very often, especially in like a public discourse setting.
Okay, so you had a question. Is he always right? Expound upon that.
Okay, perfect. So that goes on to what we were talking about the other day, because I do agree that we all need to clean up our room. But let me see if I can pull up his rules, because I feel like this is a good place to... So what I was getting at is just the fact that at some point there's more to than just cleaning your room. And I think that he expands on that a little bit in his newest book. And, at some point you need to go outside of your room and then experience whatever life has to offer. And most of the time that life is filled with suffering that you then have to overcome, but that's the essence of life, and it makes you stronger as you go through it. So if you just always stay in your room and continue to clean it and continue to organize it, you'll never be able to experience the suffering and joys that is life. I think that to be able to feel comfortable to leave, that you should have your life in order and you should have your room in order to be able to leave and then face the world head on. But if you just get too stuck with always, you just need to clean your room. Just clean your room again. It sounds like you need to clean your room.
Here's the thing. I think you're not even pull up his rules. First off, I don't even think you're reading the rule correctly. He doesn't ever just say clean up your room and then do nothing else. He doesn't say clean up your room and then you're good to go. He says, before you want to change the world, clean up your room. That is leaving it open to say, you need to get yourself right. You need to fix the issues that surround you, literally your room, your house, your finances, the things that are literally around you. You need to clean up your stuff, your mind, before you go out and try to change the world or change anybody else's mind. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. No, exactly.
When I say get your room cleaned up, I take that as look around everything. Look around all the things that you have direct control over. Can you even deal with even a few of those things? Can you even accomplish adulting? Can you even do those things? And if you can't, focus on that first before you go out and try to change the world. That's what I think the message is.
Now, again, this is my point, though, is that point is only part of it. At some point, you do need to leave your room behind. And even if your room's not perfectly cleaned, it doesn't mean that you can't go out and then try and affect the world. And that's what I feel like the conversation where this is stemming from was talking about how we get too wrapped up in trying to affect the world that we need to then just focus on ourselves before. And that was my point, is that once you have focused on yourself, then it gives you that knowledge to then be able to go out and experience the world and have those greater struggles to grow yourself. And again, so this is kind of where Jorden Peterson is so approachable by so many people, is because we interpret the same rule the same way, but differently as well. Like I said, like we get what the rule means, but it means different things to me versus what it means to you. And I think that that's another thing that really makes it,
Well, I think you need to also apply many of the other things. I think this second book has really clarified a lot of those things.
And I agree as well.
One of them is basically, after you've cleaned your room, you kind of have to have a goal in what you want to do personally, and you really have to focus on one thing or a very small handful of things, because if you try to do a million things in life and try to clean up your room, then you're probably going to fail, or at least you're not going to do those things well. And so if you want to do something well, you have to really devote yourself to it. You have to find a goal. You have to aim at it. You have to plan for it. You have to do these types of things.
Oh, wait. You see, planning is a good thing now?
No. You have to, if you have a goal that you want to aim at, you have to have the ability to see every step of the way, whether that's planning or not. Like, if you are not ready to find your soul goal, if you're not ready to find that one target you're going to shoot at, then planning for it is not appropriate in that instance. Yeah. So if there's a goal that you just want, but you can't focus on it right now, you can't focus on it fully, you can't set a plan and then push it into motion, then it's not appropriate to use a plan all of a sudden. You have to do it when you're ready to devote yourself to it. If I know 1,000 other things are going to happen in my life that are going to get in that way, and I haven't set myself up to be able to aim at that goal, then planning for it or planning to do a bunch of random stuff. That's what I was mentioning in our previous conversation.
Yeah, and I agree. I think
planning is always good, but planning is always good, but it's like, I don't plan what I'm going to frickin' eat tomorrow. And I just do it.
But some people do.
I don't plan.
And it works for them, and it actually is better.
Some people do, and
I think it
most people are generally OCD. I don't know.
Not really. It's called.
Maybe it depends on how you want to live your life, though. It depends on how you want to live your life. If you plan out every single meal, maybe you'll eat better than not. Yeah, that's definitely a way that you might want to live. But that can also really trap people and get people constrained. And so it really kind of just depends on your life.
Well, discipline equals freedom. So I think that constraint is one of those things that is a really important thing to your life. And that was one of the problems, that people don't have discipline, and so then they don't plan out their meals, so they intake more calories, which leads to other greater health problems. So that's neither here nor there. You'd probably like Jocko Willink. You ever read anything about him?
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Listening to Jocko a little bit.
But so again, I think that this secondary book is like we were saying, a good stepping stone for the stuff that he was writing about. I feel like that first book was more of a personal, like, talking to you book about how to, like, operate within yourself. I feel like the second book is a lot better way, or speaks more to how you operate with other people and how you should operate in society and with relationships and those types of things as well. I thought that was an interesting addition to the other material that he's created.
Well, he had like 42 or something rules, and like this is just a continuation of those. And so a lot of them have similar themes. And so when you kind of flesh those out, I think he picked the correct 12 for his first book, and then he took the other ones in this book and kind of used similar themes to clarify a lot in the first book. It's definitely, I mean, he's very, very good again at communicating and being. I don't even know if he's I don't know if he's that great of a writer, but he's certainly good at relaying information in a way that's very, like, really hits home with people. So
I think he's a good writer. I think that
I mean,
that's one of his.
certainly he's extremely smart and learned. I mean, like, and he's a professor, so like, of course he's going to be a good writer. But you can be very good at writing technically, and then not write good books.
Well, he's good for us, but also like this other book, I was like listening to some of the stuff that he said. I was like, I don't know if he really just said anything right there. It sounded like a bunch of garbled, fancy words together. So like, I feel like some other people, it would be a little dense for some people to try and get some of the concepts, because he uses a lot of, I don't want to say
could
big
be.
words, but just a lot of complex words and situations that you probably don't need to do.
I have offered his book to many people, and it's pretty obvious they never read it. Many of my friends, I've been like, you got to read this. It will change your freaking way of thinking. It'll be beneficial to you, guaranteed. You'll take at least a couple things away that you'll never forget. And I never hear back from them.
You said you're about a fourth of the way through the book. Yeah, I've given it to tons of people. I'm like, read this, and when you're done reading it, come talk to me about it. And no one ever does.
And no one does. Well, again, like you said, it can be dense. It can't. Some people don't want to hear about how to live their life.
It's pretty
Some
dry.
people don't give a crap.
It's pretty dry as well. You have to really be kind of looking.
Also,
for
you really.
I
can't read a book if I don't respect the author. Generally, there's a lot of times if I don't know who the author is, they got to like kind of win my attention at the very least. By having a great first chapter, or the first book ends really amazingly because I stuck with it, that kind of thing. It's easier with like, fantasy and sci-fi stuff, but nonfiction's tough, man. You really have to either care deeply about the source material, or it has to be that you really know the author, trust the author, and that's what's going to get you through the book. It's tough if you just listen to. If you listen to the book or you read it, it can be dry, it can be dense. So it can be a hard sell for people.
One of the rules that I have pulled up, I think I'm curious what you think about this, since you probably haven't read this chapter. It is try to make one room in your home as beautiful as possible.
Yeah, I saw that was a new one. I like that.
I actually like that one a lot.
Impossible.
And it talks about a bunch of different things. But I feel like that's something that we do just kind of subconsciously, with how we set up our video game rooms and our offices and things like that. And I think that
I don't know if beautiful means clean.
No.
I don't think that's
he was talking aesthetically, but I also think beautiful means again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So I think looking
I set
at
up
my
all
room,
my robots and all my action figures and my nerdy stuff all over.
I have
it's dirty, but I love being around it.
I have all of my computers and my screens and all my gear set up with all
my posters from college. Yeah,
that too, and all of my other safes and some of my favorite weapons. And again, I think that it might not be that pretty in a visual sense, but I think that to me it feels nice, and it gives me that sense of beauty. And I think that that's interesting how the clean up your room one is more of an introspective one, and then this one is kind of the complement to the outrospective.
I don't think the clean up your room one is as literal as it sounds. That one probably
is pretty literal, where you're creating something in your active environment that gives you joy, so that way it can ground you in some sort of happy place.
I mean, it could give you joy, it could give you peace, it can give you like just an escape. Like there's a lot of things that could definitely do. Some people, I think, you said, it can just be your man cave or your woman cave or your office or something that you set up cool stuff around you that makes you feel good.
The room that comes to mind, honestly, when thinking about this thing is that reading room that you have.
Yeah, I love that
to me is something that I don't have that I would love to make.
Yeah, I'm in there every morning if I can get there.
Yeah, and that would be awesome to have, again, a room that makes as beautiful as possible. Books, quiet, no other distractions in it. That sounds like some beauty to me.
It's pretty awesome. I like having that. But, it's just a random room. If that room didn't exist in my apartment, it would probably be my office or something. You make it what you can.
I will say, before we move on from the next topic, chapter 11 is probably one of my most favorite things that I've read and heard from him recently. It was the story thing that I kind of alluded to a little earlier about like your life is the story, and like that is the point. I really liked that chapter, because that was something I had been thinking about a lot lately, and just in the past couple of years.
He's been talking about that a lot. He's been really pushing the whole, all of humanity has essentially passed its information via stories. Like,
stories is
nearly everything.
Mm-hmm. He
And
talks
so,
about that a lot in that chapter too, about basically, again, stories, the way we convey information, and the way, the structure of stories is just the way that
we've
tell
shaped our
things.
morality and
Oh yeah, and it's how you share emotions with people. Like whenever you tell someone like, "Oh, how was your day yesterday?" You start telling them a story, whether how short or long, and we just cut things up.
if you
into
care,
these...
you do. If you care,
Exactly.
if you think
Though,
about it,
but that's
it's
the point.
it's like,
The
how's your
genuine...
day? Good. That's not, then you just didn't care to tell them anything about it.
Yeah,
So,
but when you genuinely are trying to communicate with someone how your day was, you probably set it up like, oh, yesterday, I was on my way to work and I was running a little bit late and I, almost ran a stop sign and hit somebody. That's a story. That's a pretty defined story with place, person, and that's kind of what he talks about. And that's how you can kind of tell and read into other kind of communications. But it's also how you orient yourself and communicate and understand who you are. Anyway, like I'm trying to think of some other good.
Well, here's the thing. So the question was he always right? I don't think he's trying to always be right.
And that was the answer I was trying to dig out with that question.
I think I think he's just trying to give you kind of a baseline of ways to think, or he's trying to make you think about the way you live your life and whether the things that he can offer will be a better way to live it and that type of thing. Everything he says isn't necessarily right. And again, we alluded to this. You can perceive things differently than I perceive them, or, you can debate what he really means in certain things, but people have been doing that about philosophers for all of time. But the things that he says are generally always challenging. I don't know if they're always right. However, I will say this. I have actively changed the way that I act many times based on the things that he's said. And so whether they're right or not, they certainly are impactful. So there's my, I don't know if he's always right, but he is almost always impactful, at least to me.
I'm going to tease out what I was saying a little bit earlier too. I think that it's not always that he's right. It's that some people claim that he's trying to be always right and that he is the right one. And that's one of the main criticism that he gets is that he is trying to espouse his words and is being this messiah to the, what's the proper, to the incels of the world and giving them, I agree. I don't think that that's what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to speak truthfully and honestly, and he wants to be as impactful as possible with, as much truth as that he's able to, have about himself.
Well, he knows. I don't think he ever thought that he would be as impactful as he is. I don't think he ever realized how. I don't think he ever really wanted to, and that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, I don't think he ever wanted fame. It definitely cropped up, and I don't think he was prepared for it. And I actually think it almost killed him. But you can see how genuinely emotional he gets just thinking about how many people's lives he's changed from just saying things that he thinks or the truth that he believes, or just always trying to say what he believes to be true. I haven't seen that in very many people, frankly. Certainly not in any podcasters. Podcasters, actually, I take that back.
Jocko's the man.
I take that back. Podcasters tend to be that way, and that's why people gravitate towards them. It's because it's not about necessarily the fame. Fame is kind of in the background when it comes to podcasters. They want to have genuine conversations. They want to speak genuine truth. They want to really get to the bottom of things. It seems like, on both sides of the aisle, frankly, I actually have respect for a lot of left-leaning or liberal podcasts just because they tend to be respectful. They tend to try to bring facts to the table, and they don't seem to be disingenuous. And frankly, I'll listen to anybody who's like that. But back to Jorden Peterson, I don't think he was prepared for this, but you can just see, the man almost breaks down in tears just talking about the people who follow him or that he has, or have told him that he's changed their lives and things like that. And you don't get that very often. So he just seems to be a really genuine person in general. And so I'm happy to have him back. He seems like he's doing a lot better, frankly.
Yeah,
And I hope that he keeps putting content out, because every time he puts out new content, I'm like, I have to set time aside to see what he's got to say here. It's probably important.
Yeah. I think he tweeted something today about, man, what was it? I think I want to look it up.
Yeah, it was something about
something
Proposition
Canada,
10 or whatever.
Yeah, it was something Canada was doing that was super weird. Was it something medically related, or was it words related?
I don't know. I think it was words related. I didn't look at the whole article.
Yeah, Guy said was talking about it too. I wonder if I saved it. You ever read that book? I think I sent you that book.
Which one?
The Parasitic Mind or whatever.
I don't think so.
I think I did. Gadsad? Gadsad's the man.
Cool. All right. Shall we move?
Yeah, we can move on.
Let's do it. Let's talk about fantastical space money.
Oh yeah,
fantasy money.
Let me pull up CoinGecko real quick. We'll go check on that.
Yeah, where are we at right now?
Probably getting slammed. Let's check out that browser view.
It's fine. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
I lost,
looks like
$300 billion, whatever.
2%. Doge is up 15%. Gross.
Depends on what time frame you're talking about.
I'm looking at the 24-hour, the day over day. ADA is dude. ADA is doing crazy good. 13%.
Don't buy Dogecoin. Yeah, ADA is helping me out because that's like half of my portfolio on Binance.
Dude, ADA is looking real nice. Tether, that looks cool. I wonder what that is. Most everything's are dead. XLM's down. VeChain is
I mean,
down
people
in
are
the day.
now so okay, we talk about the correction. Here's if people don't know, Elon Musk, basically anything he says literally will sway the market back and forth. The man has a lot of power. Not almost too much. Certainly too much power. I don't hate him for it. Frankly, I think the man is just participating and he knows what he's doing, but he's just participating in bringing awareness because he's top of the news everywhere. And so, big deal, $300 billion correction. Just him doing that probably got the word out about crypto to another 100 million people. So, okay, good. I'm fine with that. So, yes, the things he's doing may or may not be nefarious. But for those of you who don't know, basically, he put out a statement that said, you can't buy my super Tesla truck with Bitcoin anymore because we don't like how much Bitcoin affects the environment, because every time you make a transaction on Bitcoin, it's like, you like have to chop down 5 trees or something like that. I don't know what he said.
5 trees.
Five trees in the woods immediately evaporate every time you use Bitcoin. So
yeah.
So there's other alternatives.
So one of the things I was seeing some of the crypto guys on YouTube that I follow talking about was that this, like what you're saying, like this is not a correction. All this is doing is, lowering the price so more people can buy in. And the amount of people that have gotten into Bitcoin this last 6 months is still nothing. There's still so small of a percentage of the market of people, even just in the stock market, let alone the rest of the country.
It's literally just a fire sale.
There's so much more space for crypto to be able to move and more people to get into it that we're just now seeing, I think, the beginning of what's going to be a crazy bull run for.
So yeah,
dude, I mean, 100K by July and September, man. I think that it's possible.
I'll be happy about that.
I've been negative this whole time, man. I've been saying that it was going to go back down to 23 back in February.
It's not. There's no possible way. There's too much money in it
now. Yeah. There's no way it's going to happen now.
There's too much money in it. Well, so here's the thing. So he says that, right? But he leaves a caveat in there, right? He's like,
I'm going to keep it.
We're looking into other possibilities in terms of blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And so,
he's just
at
pump and
that point,
dumping.
everyone's like, okay, so let's look at all the possibilities that are similar to Bitcoin, but they are less impactful on environment. Boom, boom, boom. You see Cardano goes up, XRP goes
Mhm.
up, even freaking Dogecoin, which does nothing for anything ever. It's
Except
like,
for
oh
is
well,
like,
it's the token, so it doesn't really take
well,
all that
no,
much out of the
Elon
environment.
was
Blah blah
talking
blah.
about, Elon was talking about actually getting with some of the creators of Doge and turning it into a legitimate cryptocurrency and adding some software tech into it.
Of course,
So yeah, he's just pump and
that's
dumping, dude.
BS.
It's
That's
just a
BS.
pump and dump. It's not. The coin does nothing.
It
There's
is. And so,
trillions of them. It
so
doesn't.
you've got
Ugh.
this 300 billion dollar correction. It is just FUD, which is, fear, uncertainty, doubt of him saying this thing. Oh, Bitcoin, one of the use cases of Bitcoin is now gone. And so everyone's like, oh, damn, I better get rid of this stuff. And then people get rid of it to a point, and then everyone's like, oh, look at all this other stuff I can just buy now. And then it just goes right back in.
I think.
It's just Bitcoin from altcoins to Bitcoins. The big thing is Ethereum. Ethereum hardly even took a hit.
Oh yeah, no, it's still a pretty strong 38 is crazy high.
Hardly took a hit, and because that is literally, it takes about half the power.
Do you think that
I'm
the
generalizing
correlation
half
of
the power of Bitcoin?
Do you think that Bitcoin and the Ethereum, like, what do you call it when they're connected together?
Blockchain?
No. The consistency of the chart, whatever. When they're dependency. Yeah. Do you think that they've
correlation?
broken yeah, but the dependency of the actual growth that they've broken away from it, because I feel like Ethereum has performed a lot better this time, where Bitcoin has gone from 62 all the way down to 59, when Ethereum has not done that type of percentage drop in a couple months.
No.
So
no, Ethereum, because there's so many more things that are built on Ethereum now, that if just because Bitcoin is the first in and everyone knows it and it's the namesake of crypto, it's not enough anymore for it to be just literally paralleling everything else. And
Ethereum, that's what I was running parallel.
Ethereum is going to be big. I mean, it'll be huge. Just there's so many more things developers can do with Ethereum than they can do with Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is just going to be gold, and Ethereum is like, it's not even you can't even correlate it with a precious metal. It's like Bitcoin is gold and Ethereum is like software.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
No, that's a good point.
It's crazy to think about it. So I think they're two different things. So I don't know if we're clearly not have enough listeners for me to have to say I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're going to get into crypto, don't do Doge unless there's a reason to. And get some Bitcoin, get some Ethereum, and then look at other things that you think are interesting. It's similar to the stock market. You want to make sure if you're putting money in a stock that you can see that stock is going to be useful to somebody at somewhere, other than, if you're not doing that, then you're literally just gambling. And it's not smart to do that unless you have tons of extra money. So, I mean, that's where it's at. It's not a correction, because just that it cost $300 billion for a bunch of people to see a bunch of headlines about Bitcoin, thanks to Elon Musk. So I'm not pissed at him.
I'm pissed at him just because I don't think it's ethically correct what he's doing. I don't think it's appropriate.
I don't think it's dude. Here's the thing. Here's my response to that. If that's not ethically correct, then Elon Musk would have to never speak. The man has so much power in this realm.
No. That's
never speak. He'd have to never speak. Not affect.
I disagree. I think he's being manipulative, and I think that he's being deceitful, because it's not that he doesn't speak; it's that he's lying. I don't think that he means what he's saying when he's talking about blah 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 this and the environment and stuff like that. That's being disingenuous, and that's the issue that I have with it, because I don't. Well, you don't think that he
no. specifically cares about like that.
No,
you don't think that he.
No,
I mean, he doesn't love Bitcoin. He never loved Bitcoin specifically.
No, but it's extremely manipulative to, at one point when Bitcoin is down so low, accept it as a fee for your car, and then when it goes really high, stop taking it so you can retain all that you have, and then he's just manipulating the market, and I feel like that he knows it. I feel like he's
Yeah,
smart
but if
enough
he
to
has
understand.
Bitcoin, he knew it was going to tank. Why would he take out however many millions or who knows billions that he has in Bitcoin?
Because he got and here's why I think
Maybe he wants to buy more of it. I don't know.
it's exactly what he wants to do. He and all his friends, again, and this is an opinion from, I want to say Tim Cax, I think they were talking about this specific scenario, but I agree with, is him and all his friends were like, hey, I'm going to stop selling Bitcoin. Why don't you sell it all right now? And then when it tanks 12 G's and back down to 46, buy it all back up.
Yeah, of course
and then they get to make money. He gets to be in the spotlight, and now he gets to create and make more money from it. Plus, I think that he is setting himself up.
You're definitely right. Those things happen.
He is setting up to pump Doge and make Doge up to $1 and then sell all of it. And then when Bitcoin is not in the news again, he'll start taking it again or whatever and do the exact same thing again.
Yeah,
because,
you're not wrong.
Because, again, he is smart enough to understand that cryptocurrency is much more efficient than what he's doing. And he's all environmentally friendly, but also makes batteries, which is not very good on the environment. So, like,
don't get me wrong.
If he was
he is definitely manipulating the thing. It's just for me, I know that the things he's doing are probably more important than they are. It's probably better considering they're more important than nefarious. So look at it this way, though. Nefarious. I think there's just enough. Him pushing all of these stories about it is better in for the long term.
Sure. But look at this is the way that I look at it, right? So we have a bunch of these billionaires that we kind of want to view as not bad people. I'm starting to view people as Lex Luthor and these other bad guys and these other people, and I don't like the way that Elon is starting to hold himself and operate, because it sounds like he's being manipulative and he's going to turn into one of these bad billionaire people. And I don't think that that's good overall for society, because we need him to be one of the, I don't know, I was going to say goodest, one of the best people for morality and for, the advancement of our society. We don't really.
That's a lot of pressure to put on one person. I don't know. I think that
I agree. I think you're right.
Philanthropist, playboy, blah blah blah. He thinks he's freaking, Tony Stark or whatever.
Which is cool, but we want Tony Stark. We don't want some evil dude that is.
You don't want Tony Stark. Tony Stark's an asshole.
Yeah, but what did Tony Stark ever do that was evil except for create Ultron or whatever? But whatever. The point.
He sold all of the arms around the world to start millions of wars, and then realized it was bad, and then became Iron Man.
Yeah, but that's the plot of it. We don't need Elon Musk to then be good and then be like, you know what? Maybe I'll make a lot more money if I just start selling spaceships that have weapon capabilities.
I don't know. I don't know his heart. I don't know his intentions. He definitely loves to make money and has a bunch of billionaire friends.
I think it's all about the money.
Sure, I think the thing is if cryptocurrency ruins people because they put all of their money into it, that's their own goddamn fault.
I'm talking more about the greater
if you pump and
perception.
dump Dogecoin and you get no money from that, and you're completely screwed. Whatever, you were into Dogecoin, you're an idiot in the first place.
Yeah, but what we don't want to happen is we don't want Elon Musk to then put chips in your brain and now he can download and fry your brain from the inside, because I don't want to put.
Cool to me. I don't...
Yeah, it is cool. I want to.
I'm not putting no chips in my brain,
dude. I want a chip in my brain too, but I don't want that person who creates the chip to be like, Doge to the moon and then zaps everybody.
Andy, we walk around with literal all of some human knowledge. You don't think you're already getting controlled by this shit?
No, I'm talking
already happening.
You know what Neuralink is, though, right?
Just cram this thing into your head, and there you go. Now just think about calling somebody or using your phone.
Neuralink is another level, though, dude. And
it is messed up, yes, but it's
no more
messed up than being tracked all the time and having all of some human knowledge and being literally constantly advertised to. We're already freaking robots. Who cares?
Yeah, and I don't need to want to be the monkey in the fucking cubicle playing goddamn fucking, what was he playing? Pong?
Pong? I don't know.
Dude. I don't want to be the Pong monkey, man. I want to be. I want to be the I want to be the Mars space monkey. That's what.
I don't want to be the Mars space monkey. I need Pong monkey.
I know you don't. Bro, I'm about to be the Pong monkey with my new job, clicking buttons.
You are about to be You're already about to be Pong monkey with your new job. Okay,
bro.
So
but rather be a Pong monkey than a guard monkey. So whatever.
it is what it is. Okay, so we'll see where it goes. The thing is, that's fun about crypto is if we were talking about this a week ago, I would have been like, yeah, crypto is the most amazing thing ever. Look at my crazy portfolio. It's been going up and up and up. And then all of a sudden, hey, finally something happened where it's like, okay, now we see the roller coaster ride happens all over again.
Yeah, and you see
I've
the
been
people
watching
with, what
this
is it called?
stuff
Wet
since
feet.
2017.
You get the people with
Since
wet feet that are
17.
dipping out and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, man.
My
dude.
favorite
Okay,
is,
yeah.
I've had people that have been like, how do I sell my Doge to be able to get it? I'm like, dude, if you don't know how to sell your Doge, you probably shouldn't have bought it. Like,
If
how did you
don't know
buy
how
it?
to sell,
It's
if you
the
don't know how to
same
sell-
thing.
People are like, how much should I hold out for taxes? It's like, why are you asking a Facebook group? Like, ask your freaking accountant, or just don't be in this realm. This is terrible for you. I don't know. I'm in all of these different groups, and I've found out just how pointless they are, how awful they are, because you have so many people jumping into this space that just don't have a damn
any
clue.
idea. Get
Like, I got
Dogecoin.
$5,000. What should I get? And then people are like, you should get Doge. You should get this, that, and the other. And I look at all the ones that, like, I look at all the ones that people are getting, and I'm like, none of those are even literally are anything.
They're not a thing. They don't do anything.
Yeah, I don't. It's amazing to me. But people probably say the same thing about anyone who's in the space.
I mean, people were saying about Doge 5 years ago, and look what happened with that.
You've got boomers now who just completely don't understand it, who would look at anyone who has crypto and be like, those people are crazy. So who knows?
There are some cool coins though, between Monero and what was?
There's some great coins, but there's a reason there's like a top 10 and they've stayed there for as long as they have, is because people really understand it. And the only reason Doge is where it is because freaking Elon Musk is one person.
It into the moon.
And because of idiots.
Bro, pancakes. Bro, all these DeFi stuff is so crazy. There's all this weird stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can't get too much into this rabbit hole because if anybody was watching us, which I'll stop saying that eventually, but people wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about half the time. We'd have to explain all of these things. So
we'll get there eventually.
Let's move on.
These people can see numbers and see percentages of rising and falling. That's pretty normal. But
they can, but some people don't even know what the hell we're talking about. If mom and dad watch this, they'd be like, "What are they going on?"
We're making this for mom and dad to watch it, and maybe they'll learn something.
I don't know.
Again,
something maybe.
There's a bunch of people jumping into the space that are new to it. They don't really know what they're talking about, but I think that there is a point to jumping into it and learning from it as well.
You were there in 2017, just like I was, man. When it went up like a couple $1,000, people were like, "Whoa, this is crazy. This is a real thing." And then it was in the news all the time, and then it literally was out of the news for almost a year and a half, 2 years, and then all of a sudden it's back in the news again. But a lot of it is because we had a big old change in our political system, and people are like, "Okay, we're looking at some bad stuff coming down the pipeline. Let's instead of using money, we'll use people are
realizing what Bitcoin is meant for, and it's to fight inflation. Yeah. Inflation is pretty rampant right now. All right, let's move on.
And it'll only
let's talk about that's funny. I wonder who that voice was. Anyway, so you watched the first episode? Did you watch just the first episode?
Invincible. Yeah, Invincible. It was interesting.
Invincible, you mean?
Sorry, Invincible. What did I say? Invisible?
You did say Invisible.
I'm reading it, and I was thinking about like the powers and the one power in it, the one person that could go invisible. Yes, Invincible. It's on Prime, and it's interesting. The thing I find most interesting about it is it's Robert Kirkman, who you actually didn't even know was the writer and producer of it. But that's the guy who did Walking Dead. And I see a lot of Walking Dead, even in the first episode.
It makes sense why I liked it so much, because it stood out. And I know for me, one of the things that I liked about it was I thought it was interesting how simple it was, but how quickly it got very, very complex. And it happens like that in a lot of the episodes.
I will tell you what about Robert Kirkman I saw in this. Here's what Robert Kirkman does. He makes you feel okay. And he even will draw things out, and then all of a sudden, boom, he'll smack you in the face. here's some terrible stuff that like tears out your freaking heart and then shows it to you, and you're like, what did I just watch? And he did that a ton. Some in the show, like if you watch Walking Dead, I watched like the first 5 seasons and I was pretty into it, but it was a recurring theme. But this is what happens in Walking Dead: you get really close to characters. Same thing happens in Game of Thrones. You get really close to characters, and you develop these characters really well, and you actually feel connections to these characters, so that when they die in terrible ways, you're like, what the hell? And you really feel it. Like, you're like, oh my God, I felt like this character was like a friend of mine who just died all of a sudden, like immediate in front of me, viscerally. And they do that in this show. And so it's very Robert Kirkman. And they do that in Walking Dead. They do that in Game of Thrones. And that's what people gravitate towards these shows as good writing, because it makes you feel something. Anytime that you're watching a show, especially a sci-fi show or fantasy show or whatever, anytime you're watching a show like that, and you are connected to the characters, and then something happens and you really feel it, it latches on to you. It's relatively important. So, and I can see that I can see that in this show, and I get why you liked it so much.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to watch the show is because I saw that end fight scene of that first episode, and I was like, yo, what was that? Like, holy crap. And then,
it definitely draws you in. I mean, it makes you just watch all of it.
I saw that, but it was like 2 weeks ago. It was like when the show first was released. And I was like, whatever. It's just another stupid cartoon show. And then I probably don't care. And then what ended up happening was I saw it start hitting memedom, and people were starting to meme it a lot. And I was like, all right, well,
it must be something big.
So there must be something there if it's actually this good, that it's actually hitting that cultural vein of memedom. And at that point, I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this now to see what in the show was so striking that it was able to convey such an intense message that was able to then be portrayed into memedom. And
it's funny you say that, because now that I notice, I did see memes with them, with the main characters in it, and I didn't even know what the heck it was. I thought it was some anime or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I was at first too when I first saw it.
And now that I see it, then I'm like, okay, I get why this is a thing now, sort of.
And like,
but yeah, I've only watched the first episode, so honestly, the rundown is you meet a bunch of people, and you feel you're like, you don't know what to think about the show. That's the thing that's interesting. And I actually think this might be a detriment, because if I told, like, for instance, if I told my friends to watch it, they would get through the half the episode and they turn it off.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, this is lame.
This is lame. And so you have to get through the first episode.
Yo, I caught Taylor, didn't tell her a single thing. I knew it was coming at the end of the episode.
I could do the same thing to Sarah. I could do the same thing to Sarah.
We were watching it. It was all regular because we watched an anime, so we watched a bunch of this Band-Aid. And then all of a sudden, smack, and her face was like,
that's what I'm saying.
What was that? I'm like,
people need to, you have to watch the first episode. And when you do, you will immediately think, okay, here's the reason that the episode was the way it was. Because it's like, if you watch the first 10 minutes, you're like, okay, there's a guy that's kind of like Batman. Okay, cool. Yeah, that guy's Vision. Or this one is just Mr. Fantastic. They have these superhero powers. It's like, I've seen this a million times.
Regular superpowers.
They're just so generic and derivative of other superheroes. Blah blah blah. But when you see the end of it, you're like, here's why they did that. Here is why they made them so generic. And here's the guy you already knew, and here's the guy. And this guy is derivative of that for this reason. And here's the guy you already knew. And then watch what happens. And so, yeah, it definitely drew me in. I think it's interesting. Being a huge comic book fan, it's the same type of thing. So Robert Kirkman is famous for, at the time when zombie movies and zombie culture and all this stuff, this zombie stuff was big, he took it and he said, I'm going to make a zombie show that has nothing to do with the zombies. I'm going to make a zombie show that's going to show you how terrible human nature is when people are desperate, or when people are too powerful, or when people have to get into roles where they need to become heroes because there is terrible things happening around them. And that's good writing. It's not derivative. And I'm sure the rest, I've only seen the first episode, but I'm sure knowing Robert Kirkman, that the rest of the show is going to be about that.
Yeah, without like spoiling anything, it really does have that type of feel where it's a superhero show that's not really about superheroes.
Yeah,
it's about being a teenager.
It's
and
obviously
most
not
of the
about
time,
superheroes in the first episode.
Yeah, and most of the time, like there's a lot of that same stuff. But I think that what the show does a really good job at is that it does a really, really good job of breaching that cultural barrier of giving you these kind of moral like undertones and high school conflicts and these types of scenarios, and then it just smacks you in the face with something kind of crazy and the actual hard part about life. And there's a couple episodes I'm thinking about that I was just like, dang, I can't believe that just happened in that show. Like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. And I think shows like that are I again, the reason why I wanted you to watch it, because I haven't seen a show that's not just already in the mainstream that stood out this much to me, especially a cartoon. Like, again, I've been watching,
the fact that it's
Naruto.
The fact that it's a cartoon definitely does.
Yeah, so, like, again, I watch anime. Anime is, like, the only thing that I watch. So I've been watching tons of Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball Z. So I've been watching a lot of these cartoons, but those have been around for 15, 20 years.
Well, anime is interesting. It was originally for adults. It is like cartoons up until the 90s, basically, were cartoons. They were for kids, always for kids. And then all of a sudden, the Japanese people were like, well, we're going to make cartoons, but we're going to make them for adults. And we're going to make them action-packed. We're going to make them violent. And we're going to make them weird. And some of them are like awful. And some of them are sexual. And some of them are just like, you wouldn't ever want to show them to children. And that's a lot of anime.
I still want to go back and watch Evangelion because I've actually never watched it.
So good. So good. It's very much like
I've
this.
Never watched
it's very much like this. There's extraordinary things going on in Evangelion, but really what it comes down to is about kind of mental illness and human condition and what the pilots of these things have to go through, and like just the world where absolute evil is just manifests. It's pretty interesting.
Same thing with Akira either. I've never actually watched Akira all the way through.
That one is very much on that same vein.
I'm more stuck in the Garibaldi, whatever. Person Who Made Spirited Away. I love those movies.
Yeah.
Side tangent onto just anime.
Those are good, but those are always kind of more wholesome.
Yeah, they're wholesome and they're not consistent. They're
Studio Ghibli is what it's called.
Studio Ghibli. Ghibli was the word I was looking for.
Maybe I might be also wrong. I don't
know. No. Ghibli.
Sarah really likes them, so
Ghibli is correct. No, there's some of my favorite movies. Howl's Moving Castle. Princess Mononoke is amazing. It's an amazing movie.
Mononoke.
I think I'm saying Mononoke because I have Mohicans.
I haven't seen any of them. I have never seen a Studio Ghibli, no, and Sarah really likes them. So
I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive we have watched Spirited Away together.
Maybe we were probably under the influence of something.
Probably, but I mean, I've seen that movie 15 times, 20 times. It's probably one of the movies I've seen the most.
Yeah, actually, now that you said it, I have seen that one.
Yeah, like I said, I'm almost positive that we've watched it because it's so.
It was in college, right?
Dude, that movie came out in like 2003.
Yeah, that was, there's possibly we watched it in college then. I don't know.
So yeah, I'm saying we watched it like early high school. All right, so what other shows have you seen lately that are cartoonish that do the same? That gave you the same type of reaction, negative or positive?
Castlevania.
Oh, I agree. Castlevania was fucking sweet.
Castlevania was messed up. It also was about human nature, and it was like action packed, but like very anime, but also kind of not like super Japanese style anime, but kind of more American style anime. This is really great voice acting, really great music. That's another thing about Invincible that I've seen. It has really good music as well. Which means
one thing that
Castlevania is a big one.
One thing that's super weird about Invincible is that they keep on changing the art style as it goes between regular cartoon and CGI cartoon, and it's kind of annoying. But a lot of things do that these days. So.
They do that because it's much easier than
You can tell when they're trying to make a more complex scene, and they're like, "Yeah, just do it in the computer or whatever."
Yep, pretty much. I'm sure they do most of it in the computer, but
dude, it's out. The new Castlevania, the new Castlevania is out.
That's why I mentioned it. I saw it up and it reminded me of it. There's a couple others that I recently watched. There was one, God, I can't remember what it's called. It was a Greek mythology one, and they did 2 seasons of it, and they just canceled it. But I thought it was amazing. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember what it was called,
I
but it
was
was
seeing
really
memes
good.
of that one too. It was the one.
It was really good. It was
What was
called.
it?
God, what was
I
it?
feel like I watched it.
You might have watched it. It was on. I think it was only 6 episodes.
Yeah, it was the gods were fucking doing crazy shit.
Well, it was kind of like a Hercules story, but it was really good. What the heck is it called? It was on
Netflix, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Netflix
Because
show.
people were memeing that show too.
Yeah.
What was that? Something of the
I
gods.
think it was in 2021. Yeah, it was what was it called? Man, it was super good. But yeah, that was definitely one as well. It was another thing that was kind of like very visceral, very violent. Okay, it's not coming up. It was something like Hades, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but they was doing crazy. Yeah, and they were all fighting and stuff too, and then a bunch of them died.
Dude, it was such a, so that's another one. I mean, there are a lot of them out there, but a lot of them are animes, but they've definitely. Have you watched Love and Robots? Have you seen that?
Yeah, dude, that show was awesome.
Speaking of nasty, violent, crazy,
they
you never
just
know what
brought
you're
out
gonna get.
a new season too.
Interesting writing.
It felt a lot like Animatrix, and I loved that.
It was, yeah, I think it was kind of like its spiritual successor, really, of Animatrix. It was just like a bunch of shorts, all different writers, different animated styles. One of the things about that yeah, no, it's not Clash of the Titans.
It's
something
a different cartoon show. Keep going. I'm still looking. I'm curious.
My problem is so with me, when there's something like Love and Robots where it's just constantly violent, like terribly violent.
The cat one wasn't violent.
They're not all, but you never know what you're gonna get. That's like true. They could start off totally normal, and then all of a sudden it turns into, crazy violence. I don't. Similar to what we're talking about Invincible, it was just like it's that type of thing. It's that visceral, out of nowhere violence where you're just like it hits you, and I can't do that over and over and over again.
It's this show, Blood of Zeus,
that Love and
right?
Robot, Blood of Zeus. That's it. Blood of Zeus.
Yeah, it's another one that looks like it's normal, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, this is not a kid show.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about an Invincible. They needed to be like, this is not a kid's show.
Put a warning on that.
They needed to be like, this is not freaking Teen Titans, because that's what it feels like when you start watching it. I was like, what is this?
It's definitely like bullshit? It definitely felt like Teen Titans, and it
that was
Titans,
the idea. It's supposed to, but they don't do a very good job being like, disclaimer, this is not Teen Titans. Do not let your children watch the end of this episode.
Man, I still think it was so great that I caught.
Or they will be literally traumatized.
She was like, "What was that? Like, what just happened?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. I have no idea what just happened, but it was fucking sweet."
I know, it's ridiculous. So
what a cool.
So that is interesting. Like that. It's definitely I'll finish it. We'll talk about it next week or whenever we get on the next cast. But we can kind of chat about how it ends up. But there's a couple other movies coming out. One I saw an interesting trailer for called The Green Knight. Yes. And I know nothing about this, which is kind of nice.
What is A24? I've heard good things just peripherally about that company.
It's got the guy Dev Patel, who's actually, I think, a really good actor. He was in like Slumdog Millionaire. Yeah. I think it was like his first
that dude's
thing.
been in tons of other things besides Slumdog Millionaire at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good actor.
Pretty pop, so, but that was like the thing that kind of set off his career.
Well, a lot of it's not a star-studded cast, which is kind of nice because you'll see some, like, I'm sure you'll see British actors and things like that.
I'm trying to load it. Oh, nice.
But I'll read the storyline here. Epic fantasy adventure.
Actually, was gonna play the trailer. Hold up.
Oh, we're gonna do the whole trailer. Cool. Okay. Yeah, you do the trailer, and then I'll read the story because it doesn't really tell you much.
Yeah,
I did hear that it's kind of an Arthurian.
I'm gonna let it roll. Cool. Do you want to watch it real quick, or do you remember it enough? Because I've only seen it once. All right, let it roll.
Sisters, who can regale me and my queen with some myth
like a rated R film. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Especially like
theaters.
a fantasy movie.
Yeah, high fantasy will be nice to see. I just want to see another Ice Spice movie in theaters, man. I'll see anything.
Dude, I agree. It'd be cool to see things.
Try to land them below against me.
I can't hold out all the way till the end.
I will meet thee.
I don't get what really happened in that scene.
1 year hence.
I like how it has some mystery because I have no idea what the first scene means.
Well, I'm sure it's got source material because it does say it's a retelling of a medieval story.
Perhaps. But it is not complete.
You
find no mercy.
That'll be interesting.
No happy end.
But it just looks cool. I don't know. It's got
me.
some kind of Game of. It's got a Game of Thrones feel to it. We haven't had enough of that recently.
I'll finish your quest for you.
Peter Dice. Interesting garbage.
Well, I mean,
I doubt that this story is
this seems to me like a game
I'm facing all of this.
a serious quest. Scene after scene of just running into monsters and stuff. And having
That
to
is
be
why Light does what he does.
a literal ironclad knight.
Are you ready?
It'd be pretty cool. I'll see it. It could suck. Who knows?
It looks tight. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in that between the monsters and the giant people and the talking animals. That there's just a lot. That could
Yeah, he's like a talking fox or something. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it's an epic fantasy adventure based in the timeless Arthurian legend. The Green Knight tells the story of Sir Gawain, King Arthur's reckless and headstrong nephew, who embarks on a daring quest to confront the Green Knight, a gigantic emerald-skinned stranger and a tester of men. Gawain contends with ghosts, giants, thieves, and schemers in what becomes a deeper journey to define his character and prove his worth in the eyes of his family and kingdom by facing the ultimate challenger. From visionary filmmaker David Lowery, who I looked, and he's done a bunch of like indie stuff, basically, comes a fresh and bold spin on a classic tale from the Knights of the Round Table. Pretty cool.
Dude, I'm looking at this says J.R.R. Tolkien, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The 3 minutes in translations by the renowned author of The Hobbit. And dude, it sounds like it's a Tolkien story.
Really? I didn't know
Dude.
that. It doesn't say anything about it. It says Arthurian legend.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a book cover that has J.R.R. Tolkien on it.
Huh? Okay, cool. We need to dive into it a little more.
Hold on.
If that's the case, I'm all about this. Are you sure it's the same thing?
Dude, it could be a fake mock-up of it. I'm pulling it up on Amazon, but it is the Gawain
Sir Gawain.
mass paperback, July 1st, 1988. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Pearl and Sir Orfuro. I didn't say that name correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I would have thought it would have said something about it.
Remote and exotic age, the age of chivalry and wizards, knights and holy quests, yet is the only in the unique artistry and imagination of J.R.R. Tolkien that the language, romance, and power of these great stories comes to life for the modern reader in this masterful and compelling translation. I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
dude,
know.
I think it's a Tolkien book, dude. That's super weird.
That would be weird. I don't know. We'll look into it more. Regardless, the trailer did it justice because now I'm really interested and want to see it. So good for them
And now you're more interested
on making a legit trailer.
Tolkien.
Yeah, hell, if it's a Tolkien
I'm
story,
surprised
then
they
I'm more
didn't just have that be like from the brilliant mind of Tolkien or whatever.
Well, I mean, it may not be his original writing. I don't know.
Yeah, like it says it's a translation, so it might be Tolkien reading a book and translating it to another language and writing it or something weird.
It could be, yeah.
It's super interesting. I like the theme we got going right now with checking out movies. Because we did Dune before.
That's awesome.
I like that. Finding a new movie that actually is cool and talking about it and getting excited for something.
I mean, I
creating culture and talking about Dune and other cool movies instead of this stupid world being set on fire.
Here it is. This book is a collection of medieval English poems translated by Tolkien for the modern day reader. He didn't write these. It is a translation from old Arthurian legend stuff.
So exactly.
Sir Gawain and the Green Knight are two poems by unknown authors written about Sir Gawain, his romance and fairy tale novels for adults.
But that's still cool that Tolkien was the one that took those and translated them into something
made
modern,
it famous, obviously, because he probably translated it from German or whatever.
That's super interesting. That actually makes me want to read it even more now.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be cool. It looks like it's a short story, so it'd be cool.
Transitioning a little bit. So yeah, last night I was able to get completely changing the subject.
Yeah, do it. That's what we've been doing.
So last night I got my streaming set up. So that way I can do streaming with my Xbox to do games and shit.
Sweet.
And so one of the other things I was trying to do was screen capture my phone. So I was able to screen capture my phone, use the camera on my phone in that screen cap, do this type of like loadout, and potentially stream it out to YouTube or Facebook all at the same time just from my phone. So I can basically play Pokemon Trading Card and stream it with just my phone and no other devices or anything. And so that's pretty sweet. And I kind of want to do that some more. Whether I'm bussing it into this thing to then stream it or not. But I think playing Apex and the Pokemon card game, I think are both the two video games that I want to stream to Facebook. What video games would you want to stream to Facebook, Danny?
There's probably some Twitch games we could play, or
we could play Twitch. D&D is pretty big on. We could do Facebook. I think that Numenera honestly might be.
We're definitely doing that. I mean, that's that doesn't require necessarily streaming of a game, though.
No. But we could try and carve out our own niche space in the Facebook gaming sector because they have a space for D&D. So if we could get into that space as well,
that'd be sweet.
It would just be a smaller space.
Certainly the Pokemon TCG and Arena would be the thing I'd be most interested in, for sure. I mean,
yeah. So that gives us then 4 different games. Then basically,
it's interesting content to watch. The thing with that is different from like Apex or whatever. Is we could play each other, or we could play lots of set games with decks that we've built or decks that are good already, and so it's decent content. It also doesn't take forever, and it's not predicated on how necessarily long we last in a match or something like that for like an FPS or whatever.
That's why the streaming thing would be nice, where we would just hop on and it wouldn't be like, welcome to the stream. It's like, yo, we're gonna play some games, watch if you want. We play it for like 2 hours and people can hop in and out of the stream.
Yeah.
Because I get, and the reason why I brought it up is because I get in my like checks and or in my like recommended stuff, I get video game stuff all the time. I get stuck watching it, and it's like, oh, it's kind of interesting. The other thing that I get all the time that I get stuck watching was Crane games. I love the dude that goes around and does all the Crane games and all of the.
What is this garbage you're talking about?
It's definitely garbage, but it's definitely entertaining. He does like arcade games, so he'll go to like not as Chuck E. Cheese, but he'll like go to Dave and Buster, and he'll like win like points and stuff, and just like how good he is at like the games.
What does he stream it with? His phone?
He records it. He records it on his, well, he records it on his phone, and then we'll upload a video later.
So he has like people, using a phone to record him.
He has a dude, and he's just doing commentary about him playing Crane games.
That's hilarious.
Dude, he's got millions and millions of followers. Yeah, and so, but he also has videos about operating a crane business and that type of thing, and doing arcade games and playing these other different lottery ticket type games. He does coin pushers, dude. Coin pushers. Have you ever watched a coin pusher video?
Not a video, but I've seen. I know what you're talking about.
Dude, it's addicting, bro. I don't know what's wrong with it, but like it catches me, and I watched like 10, 15 minutes of it. It's so
What is
weird.
this garbage,
Dude.
What are these rabbit holes you're getting into?
It's Facebook feeding me material, and Facebook knows.
Now that's gonna keep doing that shit.
Yeah, and so when I watch 5 minutes of it, it gives me another 5-minute video, and then it gives me another 10-minute video. So then I watch 20 minutes of this dude playing, challenge to get 5,000 tickets in a day, or challenge to be number one, top score of blah 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 blah. And it's just
There's a million niches that you could cut out, and
which is kind of my point. Is what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
But the dude that does the Pokemon cards is really interesting.
There are a lot of people who already do the Pokemon and MTG, and that's fine. And I think if we just mix it up, like you said, we'll just like open up a stream, and if we get enough people who are interested in some content, it's just built in. They'll watch that shit, whatever you want to do.
Like I said, these markets are starting to grow, and that's one dude that gets fed to me. Well, what he gets fed is I get fed the videos of him, cracking packs that have $3,000 cards in them because they're from his personal collection. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
That's half of the reason that Pokemon is big right now.
Yeah, it's and again, he's pulling from packs from, the 90s and early 2000s that are pretty expensive packs.
Yeah, they're ridiculously expensive, but they are. That is the new thing. It's kind of like the influencers are really what made Pokemon specifically just go gangbusters over the last. It was 6
specifically
months.
Jake Paul back about 6 to 8 months ago being like, "We're gonna buy all the Charizards," and then
he did, and he said he sold it for X amount, which is why I gave the quote fingers. I was like, the things he said he was selling these things for, he was probably just buying them himself. Like, yeah, he sold this for $125,000 for this one thing. It's like, yeah, okay, I'd like to see the verification of who bought that and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just don't believe it. But, I mean, there are Pokemon cards now that are ridiculous amounts of money.
So then this is leading into
even more than Magic now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is leading to the next conversation where it's like, $500 to start in on, having some, and then, opening them over the course of a couple months, and then opening, set packs after they've stopped being sold or whatever. And that makes sense trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
Plus,
it's interesting.
Getting the cards, like I said, that's not the main thing that I would be doing it for. The main thing I would be doing it for would be to accumulate decks to do the streaming of the Pokemon trading card game, and have the advantage of having the cards that I can then crack as well. Basically, I'm just trying to find as much way to create content that's not going to be extremely either out of the niche or hard to do. And that's all kind of tied together between playing the cards and streaming.
When we first started, we're on our 5th episode, but when we first started, we said we are going to inherently just do things we like and we think are interesting.
And film.
There's got to be some people out there that think that. And I think we just keep with that. I mean, me, my niche would be Magic or Pokemon cards or cards in general, or, the nerd stuff, and not necessarily the politics stuff. But that's the thing that we can both kind of bring to it that will be relatively interesting, is because we could learn together while also, people could either watch it or participate in it, especially if we're doing live streams and stuff. And that'd be interesting.
And I
don't know much about that space because I don't watch live streaming all that much.
I don't really watch live streaming that much either, but I enjoy it. I prefer the live content. Some of the recorded stuff is really good, but one of the things that I've noticed about myself is, and this was big when I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast, was I wanted current stuff. I wanted to see his guest that he talked to yesterday about what happened the day before that. So that to me is basically teaching me and telling me that basically you can generate the same content over and over again when you're relating it to the things that are happening, like with the Pokemon cards getting released, like with the current, whatever, talking about the news and stuff.
Well, yeah, trading
but
cards is actually great for that because you've got consistent releases
Mhm.
with Pokemon, with Magic and all that, which is there's a lot of content built around that because you can always do.
It's
Here's
like
the
how
top
if you,
10 best cards coming out. Here's the new deck. Here's what's going to change in the meta. And there's all this stuff.
and that's how I feel about technology in general too. You can always do that with technology. All the tech that I have sitting on my desk, I could be doing reviews for and just tag 2021 to it, and then do the same reviews of either the new products or the different products and the software, and tag it 2022. Because when I go look for information, that's how I tag. That's what I go look for. I don't go look for the highest rated video. I search what I'm trying to know 2021, because I want the most up-to-date and most recent evaluation of whatever I'm looking for. So that, to me, again, with all of my knives and all of my computer stuff, I can start all that stuff, and then every year, and that's kind of why the blog stuff would be fun, because you can do a consistent running blog on new tech and continuously do, gear review on this Bluetooth keyboard 2021. Like, who cares? Like, when I bought it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of interesting potential with that. And I think, again, the reason I wanted to bring this up in the entertainment portion as well is because it kind of goes into it between the Magic cards and the Pokemon cards and the different animes and all that kind of stuff. They're all pretty, consistent and ongoing.
Yeah. The things that pique my interest most would be, and then I know that we could flow a lot, is, reviewing certain shows, certain movies, and then moving into Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, we want to talk about life as, late 20s, early 30s something males, and our perspective on things. And so I think the format we've got's going pretty well. In fact, just in terms of, keeping our conversation flowing, of course, we're going to need a lot of content and we'll hone it all in eventually. But we could the thing is if we were able to really make this a thing, then you have a couple nights a week where you do different things. And one of them could simply be us playing games.
Yeah, no. So I have a greater vision now that, again, this is why I've been talking about the computer, because the computer, once I buy a new computer, that really kicks things off, because this is kind of just playing around, doing some tests, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. But if I get a real computer, we're doing a schedule. I want to do 3 streams a week, and I want to do 1 gaming, 1 business, and 1 kind of like the general. And I want to do shows, channels, content. I have a bunch of this stuff built up in my brain for what I want to do. I'm excited.
We need to have some people who give a crap first. And
well, here's the thing: is that I've been kind of talking,
or
to
maybe make stuff
friend.
first and then get people. Who knows?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that comes with it. I mean, right now I'm talking to my friends and getting some of them interested, and once we get them on and kind of build our flow and form, then we go talk to someone and we actually be like, yo, Pretty Low Podcast, we're about 20 episodes in, we're looking for guests, would you be willing to come on? And then once we get 100 followers, 500 followers, bro, we go get advertisers.
Yeah,
like
that's a good point. If you get every time we had someone else that's not us on, they can talk to people and say, "Hey, watch this thing."
Exactly.
That's a good point. We got to do that.
And again, I'm not.
We gotta get Kenny back on, man. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was. That's one of my favorites. That was actually the only one that I've actually watched all the way back through again.
Yeah, I did too.
So that was interesting.
It's got 10 views instead of 4.
But again, that's a start, man. And I'm not like actively pushing this out to anybody. But the more that we do it, the more we invite other people on to do it with us, the more they'll show it to people, and then we'll get some more natural growth with it.
I gotta think of some of my friends that might want to get on here. We'll see.
I think it would be interesting to do, like I said, that's why I wanted to focus on YouTube for the podcast, but then Facebook for the gaming. Because I think the gaming, the Facebook gaming thing is new enough that there's still some space to carve out some cool niches.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I was like kind of throwing around, I think that is hilarious, is when you go on like the Switch, what is it, store or whatever, or you go on Twitch, or you go on the PlayStation Store, there are like thousands of games, small games, little whatever games.
Oh yeah.
You could literally spend all day, every day playing and live streaming something.
Yeah.
Brand new every single hour of every day. There's like almost unlimited stuff out there, whether they're goofy little games or they're real big time games or they're huge RPGs or they're little platformers or whatever. There are endless amounts of lists of these games that these small developers make, and it's like,
this is why
if
Twitch
somebody just did all those. Yeah, that's why Twitch has gotten so big.
That's why Twitch has gotten so big, because there is a market for people playing these games for people to watch and people that want to watch it. We're a great
reviewing all that stuff.
We're a great example of this, Danny. I love watching video games because I watched you play so many video games, and that I just enjoy doing it. And like it, this new culture has kind of popped up of people playing games for and with other people, and now we have this, now we don't have to be next to each other to play the game anymore. Me and you can, this is actually what I was thinking about. Did you guys buy the new Resident Evil?
We are playing through 7, and I'm going to buy it as soon as we.
So that's what I'm saying that you should do. Is, dude, just stream you and your girlfriend playing Resident Evil, bro.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Me and Sarah were both thinking, like, there are so many games on here. It'd be super cool to just go through this. It'd be super cool to not work and just constantly play every single one of these games, or like 4 or 5 of these games
and make
a
like
day.
$6 a month, dude.
Yeah, that'd be insane. And I like literally, like we really said.
I was about to tell you.
What would it take to do this? And there are some things it would take. It would take a long period of time where you would have to get set up. You'd have to get followed. You have to do this, that, and the other. You have to continue working.
Bro.
But really, what you have to start is what you're doing here with your podcast. This is the way you start. We've already done it.
Oh, of course.
And you just have to replicate that. And you have to
Which
be
is
able
what I
to
did.
be consistent.
That's what I did last night. Consistency and continue growth in content and my ability to be able to do it. That's why it took 3 hours yesterday and hooked up my Elgato. And I streamed a game of Apex to Facebook last night. Mm-hmm. I didn't tell anybody about it. I wasn't trying to, but I was
trying. You just
trying
have to get good at it, yeah.
Yeah, now that I did that, now I need to refine it. I need to build my channel, and then I can that channel I actually will probably advertise on my Facebook and be like,
well, I think
I'm about to go play some Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Come hop in if you want to play. Give me your gamer tag, and then that will be the thing that I advertise, because it's very easy to just be like, I'm just going to play this game for 3 hours and you watch me do it.
Yeah. Another thing that I really want to do, and that I actually have been getting quite a bit of experience doing, is running RPGs online, running D&D and running Numenera and this stuff. It's actually really entertaining, really entertaining content. I've watched a lot of live plays, live playthroughs and whatnot. And I actually think that there's a ton of potential there, because you have hours of content, and you could even do small short sessions that would be like that people would watch. Like, that would be episodic. You can really get people into it doing that.
Take a 6-hour session and break it up into 8 20-minute different segments that were actually entertaining,
or like hour-long episodes where you've got 6 hours of content.
The thing that I noticed about Facebook too, that I thought was, like I said, that is kind of getting my brain going with the Facebook side of it, is one of the top creators in the Facebook gaming does D&D. So that means that it's already kind of built for this type of podcast /
It is, and it's because of COVID. D&D is played virtually and has been for almost 9 months now. I ran an entire campaign for 10 months online, not seeing a single person's face or hitting a tabletop whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think that this setup, like, again, that's actually how we originally started this, was we were like looking at how to stream Numenera live, and I built this from that initial downloading of OBS and getting us into the cameras. That's where all this stuff came from, honestly. And I think it would be a good idea to put some effort into doing it consistently and growing an audience for that type of thing. And I think that we will be surprised about which of our content is actually going to gain traction somewhere. And again, dude,
shotgun approach is not a bad approach, especially early on.
Especially early on. I mean, and again, for me, the reason Pokemon and Apex stand out to me is because those are the games I've actually put a lot of time in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Or the past year. I could do Zelda. I could do BioShock. Like, I have other games I could play that I actually like. Like, it might be fun to do the new Breath of the Wild when that comes out. But
Oh yeah, that game's
Me
amazing.
and every other person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather
Well,
find a game
that's a thing like Numenera would really set us apart. There's just not that
That's
much
why I really
content
like
with that out
Numenera.
there. I'd love to start doing
I like your
my own
indie. I like
stream.
your indie game idea. That would be fucking fun.
Yeah, that's another reason that I mentioned that is because ain't nobody playing these games unless it's like good. And so, and how do I know if it's good? Like I've seen you can always find reviews, but playthroughs are better generally,
And like,
or at least short playthroughs or whatever.
like I said, I think that there's this new up and coming realm of continuing this type of communication while also doing live stuff as well. So if we can find a nice happy medium of doing live events and online events, then we have some potential to.
Yeah, and then if you throw in us literally getting in the VR space and creating our
the VR space is a really cool idea to do.
creating
D&D stuff.
our literal own clubhouse in a in some virtual world, that would be so sick. It'd be awesome. Decentraland is like, the concept is mind blowing, and how you can set it up, and it really is like that thing you were showing me on Reddit the other day.
I told. Whoa,
that's one of the things that I was looking at with
Decentraland. That's the ADA.
Yes, but Decentraland is similar to that, where the plots of land are there's this giant grid, and you buy certain spots, and those certain spots will end up be like developing into something as people build, kind of like cities did in human history.
The ADA one that I sent you though is actually exactly like our place, and exactly what me and you were talking about a month ago, 2 months ago at this point, about doing a cryptocurrency NFT that has digital space. Now it's not creating a giant picture and selling it, but they created a 100 by 100 square billboard that you can buy space on that is an NFT. So we could buy, and this is actually I didn't get into the first wave, but if I can get into one of the first waves, then I want to actually spend some of the ADA that I have on a billboard space to put the podcast, because that's how you fucking do it.
That'd be pretty sweet. Okay, let's talk about the last thing and wrap this thing up. What is this Starship thing?
So
what is this? I know nothing about it.
So Starship
landing.
Oh, I thought I just had it pulled up. Starship landing. It's not like
Elon Musk in the news again.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of talked about it a little bit, but basically,
this man.
Let me see if I can't find a quick video. So basically, SpaceX reveals first orbital Starship flight plan, launches from Texas and returning near Hawaii. Watch spaceship land Starship. Okay, so this was actually, it was a week ago. This is the 5th. SpaceX successfully lands prototype of Mars and Moon rocket after test flight. Let's see. A prototype of a spacecraft that SpaceX hopes to one day send to the Moon, Mars touches down in one piece on a landing pad in South Texas on Wednesday. It was the 5th high-altitude flight test of Starship, a vehicle that is severe. In several earlier test flights, exploded either during or after landing. That's why this is such a big deal, is because this is the 5th time that he's tested this. And he kept blowing him up. Yeah. And it landed.
Yeah, I remember when he blew one up. He's like, it was a spontaneous
explosion. Well, that's the thing, though. I mean,
something.
he is doing rocket science, and rocket science, rockets tend to blow up. So if you're doing some science, you might have some rockets that blow up.
Yeah, but when it's tied to your stocks, I don't
think
time that happens.
Well, again, that goes back to
your
that
stocks go down, and then they go right back up because people are like, "Oh, look, there's another Starship flying," and it just landed.
Those are poor investments anyway. If you're really paying that much attention to Tesla and SpaceX, that when a rocket explodes and has a failed test, you sell, you're not very good at the market anyway, because that's just why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's reactionary. It's the same thing as the Bitcoin market.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same type of FUD that you're like, oh, well, they must not be able to make rockets. Like, do you know how science works and how tests work? Let's see. A future model of the vehicle is central to the Mr. Musk's goal of one day carrying humans far beyond Earth's orbit. Basically, he wants to shoot this thing at the moon and land it on the moon and then fly it back to the Earth. And he'll do that eventually. And this is
going to be the emperor of
space,
the emperor of the moon, and then he'll be the emperor of Mars.
He has already said that he's not bringing any earthly governments with him to Mars, that they're going to create their own government when they get to Mars. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's going to be the emperor of Mars.
He's going to be emperor of Mars.
Does it mean God Emperor Elon Musk?
God Emperor Elon Musk.
God Emperor Musk.
That works for me. Sexual businesses. Now NASA's is challenged by the two other
take his
companies.
Dogecoin with him.
He's probably just gonna shoot a bunch of Dogecoin.
That's pretty. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
The reason why is because again, like what
he has done probably more for this. I mean, he's done more for this than NASA's done in like decades. So,
and for me, man, all I think about is the ship that I looked at. Like, let's see if I can find a good picture of it. It looks kind of like the Outlaw Starship. And you know how that ship blasts off and like how it's chilling? Like, yeah, dude, it looks a lot like that scene from the thing that I showed. What was that, 3 weeks ago? That I did the intro video from Toonami.
Yeah.
It's that scene where the ship from Outlaw Star is blasting off, and it's like, dude, it's what it feels like, man. Now, again, it's just a giant tube that he's shooting into space. But he did land it, which is kind of the crazy part.
The tube that comes back, and if he can do that now, give him a decade, and it'll be perfected. And you can just do that on the moon. The moon is not that far away.
Oh yeah,
you can do this multiple times a year, probably. With, I mean, they were doing that with the Apollo missions.
Well, and stuff, so again, the thing. It's the escalation, right? So he did it once with one of these jet boosters like a couple years ago. It was such a huge deal. It was like, oh, wow, reusable rockets. He kept getting better. Now he's sending payloads with those rockets to the space station. So now he has an actual application to it. Now he's going to do the same thing with a Starship. Okay, well, now he's going to send the Starship to the base in space and then bring it back. And then he's going to take it to Mars. Then he's going to take it to the moon. Once he gets to the moon, then they're going to build a base on the moon because they can get payloads there.
Yeah.
Actual full cargoes and do that and build 10 of these ships.
It'll probably be like 5 years.
Dude, it's going to be 5 years. We're going to have moon bases. And then from the moon base, we're going to start building interstellar, basically all of those giant rigs and things that you build out in space because you need to build them in space to travel in space.
Yeah.
There's no way to.
It's going to get us to Mars
because there's no way to launch one of these giant interstellar spacecrafts from Earth. You have to build it up in space. Common sci-fi knowledge, right there.
Common sci-fi. You've got to have them space rings like the Halo.
Well, it wasn't even Halo. It was. Star Trek? Didn't Star Trek build them in space?
Of course, they're all of the space stations.
Wasn't Planet?
We have one though. We literally have one. There's already one up there.
Yeah, but it's not a manufacturing plant. That's what I'm saying. We need to build a space manufacturing.
Dude, with enough money, we could do anything. Just ask Joe Biden. Literally anything. Oh God, we can cure freaking cancer. Just throw money at things.
Throw money at things.
But that is literally what Elon Musk does. That's the thing. That's what I mentioned.
Yes, but he has actual money. He's not printing the money
because we haven't. Well, that's true.
He has capital,
but he has it, and he does things. He uses his own money sometimes, though, and he does things that aren't necessarily profitable, just because he knows that eventually they will be, because it's going to be revolutionary. That's why he is so popular.
I think he's popular
we can cure cancer if we throw enough money in it and print enough money. We can cure cancer. It's like,
no, he's got Asperger's. Did you hear that? He's got Asperger's.
I did not hear that.
He said that on Saturday Night Live that he has Asperger's.
He might. I don't know.
No, he does. No, I'm saying he's told everybody on Saturday Night Live that he has Asperger's.
I believe him.
Duh. I mean, yeah, it's not surprising. It's why he's probably so smart.
Yeah, he's a genius and he's weird. Surprise.
Man, these spaceships are fucking cool. All right. let's go ahead and wrap it up because I don't really want to end on the Iron Dome. It's not a very good place to end.
The Iron Dome's, look it up. It's interesting. There's a video of some stuff, but I don't want to talk about
I don't want to
overseas.
talk about
I know nothing about it, nor do I care.
I was going to talk about
I
space
care that
defense,
people are killing
but,
each other and stuff, but
I don't
want
want
to get into
that.
politics of that.
Space
I don't
defense is cool.
care
Though.
about it. Well, I mean, the technology of the Iron Dome, which is, I guess we'll just talk. Just what is it that you know it is? It is
So,
anti-missile.
It's just
defense
anti-missile
systems.
defense, and it's just
And
interesting.
it seems to work really well based on the videos that I.
And it's just interesting that seeing it was so normal, right? Like I saw it and it was like, whoa, that's cool. But like, holy crap! Like what? I don't know what else you could imagine. What else could you compare that to in like the history of humankind? Like
Space Invaders.
Maybe, but I'm like talking
Did you
about
ever see? Did you ever play that game? Or what was it? Meteorite.
Yeah. But like
Back
no,
in the
no.
day on the NES, you just shoot dead the anti.
I'm talking
air
about like
defense.
actual applications. Like you didn't have archers shooting arrows at other archers in the air to like hit the arrows that were coming at you. Like
Of course you didn't.
like that. Like
No
that's,
possible way you could.
But
you
like
could do
now we have these things that
that. Yeah, they're heat-seeking rockets, basically.
and that the Iron Dome is what it's called. It's just so interesting to think how far we've come and how normal that stuff is to us. Because like.
That's not normal to me. I don't know. That seems, first off, the technology itself seems futuristic and ridiculous.
Dude, that technology is old.
And then yeah, exactly. And then the fact that like it needs to be used is also terrible. So,
I think the fact that it needs to be
I don't want
used
to get
is
into it.
terrible, but I think again the fact that this stuff has been around forever, but we're just now kind of like, holy crap! Like, do we have that around America?
We don't need it around America. We got a big old ocean on both sides.
I guarantee we have stuff like that around America.
I guarantee we do as well, but
I
we won't
guarantee
need it
there's
because we got a
probably
big
an
old
Iron
ocean.
Dome. There's probably an Iron Dome around the White House, and there's probably a much better Iron Dome than whatever Israel has because we probably gave it to them.
Well, dude, our Iron Dome is like F-16s and shit. They're ready to fly in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but again, I still think that the White House probably has a missile defense system in it.
Undoubtedly. But the thing is these rockets that are being shot are coming from like miles away. Unless literally like New York wants to shoot on frickin' DC, that's not happening.
That's
like
true.
you have to shoot that from a battleship that would need to get close enough to our coasts, which would be
Which you
impossible
can't,
because
yeah.
we would blow it up.
You'd
with
blow it up
F-16.
first. Even in a
They
submarine. Now
probably
you can't
have
do
it, but
that,
we would never use it in the same way Israel has to use it.
which is
they
the
have-
interesting part.
And it's messed up that they have to, but that's just, there's been some shit going on now for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
So
and hundreds.
space lasers and
Space lasers,
missile defense systems, and
It's
what
all
other
real
cool
It's
stuff?
actually is real stuff.
Weather control. All of those things are real. Maybe
Yeah,
not the space lasers.
Radioactive weapons,
space lasers?
5G and all that stuff. It's all real.
5G is a weapon. What?
5G,
Bro, you
like
turn
the
into Alex-
microwaves.
Are you
microwaves and
turning
shit?
into
Yeah.
Alex Jones? Shout out to Alex Jones. That dude has been right about more things in the past 10 years than anyone gave him any credit for. It's very, very sad. Very
cracks
sad.
me out.
Hilarious.
The dude's a crackpot. but yeah,
Insane.
okay. Maybe he should. He needs to lay off the cocaines.
Bro, he actually doesn't do any drugs, and I kind of
I-
believe it.
I don't believe that shit. The man's insane. The dude has done. The dude lines up like 5 lines before he gets on his podcast. The man is off his rocker.
It's just of his own man vitamin supplements that he's sniffing for it. So, all right, we're gonna end on that. I think that's a good place
Cool.
to end.
Good stuff.
Next week we will be gone. I don't know. Honestly, we might be able to do a podcast because if we're gonna set up the studio,
Might be a good thing to do.
yeah, because
down for it.
we'll do that. And I don't know.
I'll bring my laptop. I don't know if it'll work.
Yeah,
We'll see.
we're gonna set up mom stuff though, so we're gonna have all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring my mic.
I was gonna say, if you bring your mic, I'll have another mic that I can bring, and we can USB into that. So let's do that.
All right, we'll bring the mics.
Because as long as we have mics, then we'll be able to do some recording. Maybe we'll do a podcast with mom or something.
That'd be cool. I'll bring
would be
my
cool.
camera and my mic, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll bring my camera and my mic too, and we'll do some planning for that. So, all right, everybody, thank you. I don't know if anyone's out here watching. Who
Everybody
knows?
out in
Taylor
TV
might be
land.
watching.
Yay! Thanks, Taylor.
She's our one fan that she watched. She's forced
The
to watch.
fan. Sarah's watched one of ours
Forced to watch.
for about half an hour.
I was gonna say Taylor just probably pops it on when she's sitting at work because it does overnight since Miserable. So, all right, peace out, y'all.